All right, here's our video today. Human ashes in space, human remains in space. And just right off the bat, there are no human remains. There's only ashes, cremated ashes in space. And we'll talk about that. Now there are insects and seeds that were on the Apollo 11 mission, insect seeds, some fungi and so forth. They're on the moon from the Apollo 11 space mission. But we'll just talk about human ashes in space, and we'll start with the moon. And so let's get our pen working today. Let's do yellow. Talk about Eugene Shoemaker. Eugene Shoemaker. Not a maker of shoes. But Eugene Shoemaker was a planetary scientist, and he was a pioneer in asteroid research. And so, in the mission called the Lunar Prospector, which was launched in 1988, the Lunar Prospector crashed near the moon's south pole. So he's the first person whose remains are on another body, a celestial body. His remains are on the moon. His ashes are on the moon's south pole. That was Eugene Shoemaker. And then we have to talk about Dr. Clyde Tombaugh. So let's write his name there. We'll put doctor. And I'm sure you all know him. Well, maybe you don't, right? I'm sure he's the one who discovered Pluto. And of course, when he discovered Pluto, it was not a dwarf planet, but now it is. I'm sure he wasn't too happy about that. Okay, so Dr. Clyde Tombaugh, he's the astronomer, again, like I said, who discovered Pluto. And right now, his ashes, not all of his ashes, but his ashes are on board the New Horizon probe, which is the New Horizon probe that flew past Pluto in 2015. So his ashes flew by Pluto, and also, New Horizons, it passed Arakoth. Let's write down Arakoth right over here. Arakoth is this weird celestial body. It's in the Kuiper Belt. It's actually, let's get a picture of it. There it is. It's over 4 billion miles from Earth. It's the most primitive. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like someone actually put it together. But it was discovered in 2014, and it's the farthest object that we've sent a spacecraft to. So, not only is New Horizon right now, New Horizon is in the Kuiper Belt, heading to the constellation Sagittarius, but we have the remains of Dr. Clyde Tombaugh, who passed Pluto and Arakoth. Now it's fitting that this other person, Gene Roddenberry. Let's write down Gene Roddenberry, all you Star Trek fans out there. Gene Roddenberry. So his ashes were among the first sent into orbit on the Celestial 1 mission in 1997. And also there was other actresses. There was Gordon Cooper. It's one of the 7 original American astronauts in the Mercury program. His ashes have been included on many flights, so that they keep their remains and they go on to many orbital flights. And it's called Celestis. I don't know if I said celestial. I mean Celestis. The Celestis 1 mission. So Celestis is the first company to offer space burials. So, and, you know, they will send cremated remains into deep space, and they did send that for Gene Roddenberry. And another Star Trek actor whose ashes were on a Celestis flight in 2012, Scotty, who played Montgomery. Scotty was, the famous Scotty, the engineer. Beam me up, Scotty. He's in permanent solar orbit around the sun on the Celestis flight. So again, there are no human bones. There's no human remains. There's only ashes that are out into space. And we'll see, in time, if people will be buried on the moon. Who will be the first to be buried on the moon? Now, I've gotten this from a lot of students is, what about Laika, that the Soviet Union dog that was launched into orbit on Sputnik 2? Well, Laika sadly did die hours after launch, but his remains are not in space. I should say she. She was the first living creature to orbit the Earth, and Sputnik 2 was in a low Earth orbit for 162 days after, and then it came back, and so the spacecraft and Laika, sadly, they did come back to Earth. They re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and was completely burned up. And of course, we also think about Ham, the chimpanzee. So no, Ham and Enos were launched on missions intended for immediate recovery and quick orbital decay. So the ones that survived were brought back to Earth. Right. So there are none out there. There's no animals in space right now. If you're thinking about that. All right. So that's our video today.